Today, we're going to be talking about how quarterbacks can read defenses. We're going to talk about how you guys can improve your football IQ and identify certain coverages pre-snap. Now, the first thing we're going to be discussing today is how you guys can tell the difference between a cover two defense and a cover four defense. So, what a lot of people will say is like, if you ask them, like, hey, what's the difference between cover two and cover four? A lot of people will say, oh, well, the difference is in cover two, the corners are press, and in cover four, the corners are off. That is not the case, you guys. There is so much more to it, and corners will always lie to us with their coverage. Safeties are what's going to tell us the truth. So, how can you tell the difference between a cover two and a cover four safety? And that's what we're going to draw up on this whiteboard. So, I'm going to drop an offensive formation first, and then I'll drop a defensive coverage so you guys can get a better understanding of it. Okay, you guys? So I'm going to drop, this is going to be my center right here. So I got my center, then I'm going to have my quarterback, running back. So I got outside receiver, slot receiver, outside. So now cover two and cover four, because again, they fall into that like basic coverage category concept, I guess you could say. So cover two and cover four, anytime that you have a 0 through 4 coverage, those are like the basic coverages that I like to say. The number of the coverage will dictate two things. If it's even or odd, that will dictate how many safeties there are. And the number of the coverage will tell you how many deep zones are taken away, right? But it's more than just understanding, what the coverage is, what the coverage is trying to accomplish. We obviously have to recognize it pre-snap, right? But cover two and cover four, both even numbered coverages. So that means that we have two high safeties, right? So what we got is I'm going to draw both safeties. One side of the field is going to be cover two. One side is going to be cover four, just so you guys get an understanding of it, right? So we got our free safety right here, right? Free safety. Got my strong safety. Now let's say we got a corner. I got my Will, got my Mike, got my Sam, and then let's say I have 4 down linemen. So it's just your basic, I would say, 4-3 cover 4 defense. That's how it seems to look pre-snap or pre-me drawing on this, I guess you could say. So now let's talk about it. Let's say this side of the field's cover 4, right? Everybody will say, oh, the corner's going to be off. He's just going to backpedal and he's going to bail. Yeah, and that might be true. Sometimes defenses may not disguise their coverage that well, but there is also a form of zone coverage where he's dropping to his deep fourth called press bail. So he might be showing that he's pressed, last second might bail out of there. That's why you cannot rely on the corners. We are trying to rely on these safeties. So remember, if it's cover 4 on this side of the field, right? He's got to drop to a fourth, and he has to get his deep fourth. Now, let's say it's cover 2 on this side of the field. That safety has a lot of ground to cover because he has to get to the deep half of the field, and the corner has got to sit into the flats, right? So these two safeties have very different responsibilities in their stance pre-snap. There's 3 specific things that you want to look for pre-snap that can tell you if it's cover 4, if it's cover 2. First one is going to be the width of the safeties. So how wide are they? So a cover 4 safety, you guys, is going to be probably either on the hash or slightly inside the hash, because he doesn't have to worry about getting to that deep half of the field. A cover 2 safety is most likely going to be lined up outside of the hash. Now, the second thing that you want to look for is the depth of the 2 safeties, right? So the cover 2 safety is probably going to be 10 to 12 yards deep. He's going to be deeper. The cover 4 safety is probably going to be like 8 to 10. It's probably going to be a little bit closer. But this next one that I'm going to tell you guys is probably the most important thing. That's their stance. So a cover 2 safety, he's got ground to cover, right? Because remember, cover 2, they're splitting the field up into halves. So he's going to be in a back pedal stance because he's got to backpedal the hell out of there. Now, cover 4 is very weak against the run. So this safety is going to be in a run support stance, aka squatted stance, almost like a linebacker, because he has to drive down and support the run defense, right? So that's the biggest difference, guys. Not the corners, because the corners will always lie to us and the safeties will always tell us the truth. Now, the next coverage situation we're going to be going over, you guys, the difference between cover 1 and cover 3. But before we get into that, if you are a quarterback and you want to improve your football IQ, you guys, we have over 500 plus videos preloaded onto our website, all based on how quarterbacks can read defenses. I'll put up plays of film, whether it's college film, NFL film, high school film, and I give an audio and video breakdown of, okay, this is the coverage, this is what you're looking for. It's like we're in the film room together studying film. So if you're a quarterback and you want to get better at your football IQ, you want to learn how you can read defenses, check out that very first link in the description below. We have 500 different videos just like this one, breaking down the football IQ of this position. So guys, again, very first link in that description below. Let's get back to this whiteboard breakdown. All right, so the next thing we're going to be breaking down, you guys, like we mentioned, is the difference between cover one and cover three. So cover one and cover three, you ask, again, it's a very similar to cover two and cover four. You ask kind of a beginner guy, asking about coverages, hey, what's the difference between one and three? They'll say, oh, in cover three, the corners are going to be 7 to 8 yards off, look like it's zone. And cover one, the corners are going to be pressed up, right? Remember, the corners always lie to us. The safeties is what tells us the truth. Now, for this specific coverage, though, cover one and cover three, it's not so much the safety who's going to tell us the truth, because they're both a single high free safety concept. Remember, odd numbered coverages 1, 3, and the basic coverages 0 through 4, the basic number coverages. Odd numbers means that there's a single high free safety. So the single high isn't going to tell us the difference. It's the two people who are lined up over my slot receivers, whether it's a trips formation or whether it's a doubles formation. We're going to go over from a doubles formation and kind of break it down and how you guys can tell the difference. Okay, so I'm going to draw up. Here's my center. So I got my center right here. I got my quarterback, running back. Let's say I got my slot or outside slot, slot outside. So now let's say it's like we get like a 4-4 defensive front. So I got 4 down linemen. So let's say I got free safety over the top, corner. So I got my Will, Mike, Sam. Let's say the strong safeties rolled down over here. Okay, so we got just your basic 4-4 cover 3 defense, right? So now, obviously in cover 3, we're going to have a single high free. He's going to be dropping to this deep third of the field. Now, if it was cover 3 on this side as well, this corner could drop too as well, but he could also show press and then bail out of there, right? And that press bail looks a lot like a cover 1 defense, so we can't just key in on the corners. The key defenders in this specific coverage to tell the difference between the two would be this outside linebacker right here, the Will, and then the strong safety. Now, again, guys, why is it important to understand the difference between cover 2 and 4, cover 1 and cover 3? Because different coverages have different weaknesses, right? In cover 2, the weakness would be the hole shot in the middle of the field. In cover 3, the weaknesses would be the sideline. In cover 1, the weaknesses would be the weakest matchup of the defense because they're man coverage underneath, right? So who we're looking at is we're looking at the outside linebacker and this strong safety. In cover 1, these guys are obviously in man. In cover 1, these guys will be in man. In cover 3, this guy's going to be in zone. His zone specifically would be the flats, but he's not playing this guy man to man. He's probably going to try to get hands and reroute, force him outside, whatever, but he's not going to look like it's man coverage. Man coverage, how it will look when it's cover 1, is these two defenders, again, will tell you everything you need to know. They'll be inside shade, press man, eyes will be on the wide receiver, right? Looks like it's man-to-man coverage. In zone, when he's off, he's going to be probably standing with a higher stance. Eyes might be to the inside looking at the quarterback. It won't look like a man coverage stance. Now, let's say it's hard to tell. There's something you could do from an offensive scheme perspective to help you recognize this. Maybe I take my slot receiver. What do? Motion him across and see if he runs. If he runs and then you motion him back and then he runs back, okay, he's keyed in on man. Motion him across and he trades it off to another defender, okay, that looks a lot like zone. So guys, there are many ways to tell the difference, but that's the key way to tell the difference between cover 1 and cover 3.